Well, today we're going to take a look at some new water garden plants that really aren't new, but we just maybe haven't used them in that capacity. And right down here I have one that's very familiar to a lot of gardeners, but not to use in the water garden, but to use as a ground cover. And this is Hutunia, and it actually is a great addition to the water garden. You can submerge this in anywhere from 2 to 5 inches of water, and it's got these really pretty green leaves. Now right over here we've got it growing in its other capacity as a ground cover, and you can see here it makes a very nice ground cover. Now as we look here, there's the green form and there's also the variegated form. This is chameleon, and you can see as we look at the leaf why it's got that name. We've got some really pretty pink, cream, and green variegation in here, and the more light this plant gets, the more variegation it's going to have. Now it'll take anywhere from shade to quite a bit of sun. Now the other thing, as you look at the plant, you notice that it's pretty much in full bloom, and we've got some pretty white flowers on here. They almost look like a Kuza dogwood flower. So that's also a very pretty aspect to this plant. Now you see the plant and you notice that it's a little bit invasive. It actually starts to kind of eat other plants, and that's the downside of using this as a ground cover. It is a bonus though in a water garden. If you have it planted in a pot, it will do very well for you, and then you don't have to worry about it being invasive. Now the next plant that we've got here, that's a marginal plant around the edge of the pond, looks very much like a Joseph's coat, and that's because it is. This is Alternanthera bronze hedge, and you can see here on the leaf we've got a little bit of bronzing here, and the more sun we have this in, again, the more color we're going to get on this. And again, this would be for about 2 inches of water over the crown. We really wouldn't want it much deeper than that, but it's one of those plants that we don't think of as being a water garden plant. Now this plant, it's a really nice purple color. This is called purple crinkle plant or red ivy. And it's actually a plant that we would use in a boggy situation. We don't really want water up over the crown, but it likes a lot of moist soil. This might be a good one to put, where the water hose drips. The thing about this plant is that it needs quite a bit of shade, which actually can be hard to find for your water garden plants. So it's a very nice addition. It adds some nice purple color to the garden. Now right over here, we actually have a bacopa. This is Carolina water hyssop, and it's also known as lemon water hyssop. And if you scrunch the leaves, they actually have a smell that's kind of a mixture between lemon and eucalyptus. It's kind of an interesting smell. But this plant can actually grow in about 2 to 5 inches of water, and it will have a very small blue flower on it if it gets enough sunlight. But it will actually grow very well. It's got nice, bright, shiny leaves on it. Now our final plant here is known as a water wisteria, and it's not really related to wisteria. However, it is a rampant grower, and maybe that's how it got its name. Now it has a small blue flower on it, and you can actually submerge this in the water, and then it will kind of grow up to the surface. Now the thing about this plant is it's such a rampant grower that if you have problems with an algae bloom in your water garden because there's too many nutrients in there, this is a good plant to put in there because it grows so fast, it uses up nutrients fast, and that will prevent you from having that algae bloom. So you might think about putting this plant in to kind of prevent or alleviate an algae bloom that you have in your garden. Now these are just a few of the plants that we can use as marginals that we don't usually think about, but they make a great addition to the water garden.
We hope you've enjoyed this classic from the Oklahoma Gardening Vault. Remember, even though these tips and techniques are timeless, there's always something new to learn in the world of gardening. By subscribing to both Oklahoma Gardening and OK Gardening Classics, you'll have access to a wealth of gardening knowledge, both classic and contemporary.